God He is the first without any beginning. And He is the final without any end. And He created without the need to think about it. And He created from nothing. So all the diversity that we see and that we don't see, the macro and the micro realities, is a result of what God has created. And what we call existence is part of His creation. Now God is the creator. Whatever is in existence is part of creation. Now if you can understand the difference between the benefactor and the beneficiaries, you wouldn't have to ask that question. The creator is not subject to the rules and the procedure of creation. If that's still a little bit too difficult for you, I say that what you need to do is you need a mentor. The person who asked this question, you need a mentor. You need to continue to ask that question, but you need to sit with some people who can help you in talking about that, because as a human being with your limited mind, your limited brain, I could ask you a simple question that you couldn't figure out, is way beneath the issue, the question you asked. Just take the number 2 and multiply it by itself 20 times. Just the number 2. I didn't say the number 3,000. Just number 2. Multiply it by 20 times by itself. It would come to a figure that you could not figure out right here, sitting here. How could your brain, if you couldn't figure that out, how could you talk about who created God, or whatever it is that if God brought about existence, something had to bring about God into existence? This is not a question for you, and it's not a question for me, nor is it a mystery. The one who is the creator is not like the creation. Creation is subject to rules and procedures, laws that can be researched and studied. The Creator creates from nothing. That is how the Creator described Himself to Abraham and Moses and all those prophets, and they didn't ask that question. Therefore, I don't ask that question. For those who choose to disbelieve in God, as an atheist, as an agnostic, or whatever you want to call yourself, for you to choose that, that's okay. But you are still subject to the same laws, whether you be an atheist or not. When you get tired, you will sleep. And when you get thirsty, you will drink. And when your life is over, you will die. Whether you understood the reason about it or not. So you are still subject to those laws. And the one who created and put you in that position of those laws. And we say, you should think about why you are living and what job you need to have while you're living and what is the purpose of life. This is the real question for you. Why are you living? Where are you going? And what is the purpose of life? When you discover and answer that question, I think you'll find that that question there becomes obsolete. Yes?
Thank you. With the Arabic history, 1,000-year period after Muhammad, up until 1800s, whatever, what we see there is there was a strong influence of Sharia law that held that all together. And you had the choice there to either submit to Allah or to Islam or suffer the consequences. Many, many Christians and Jews were slaughtered, and the ones which weren't became second-class citizens and were reduced to a life where they had no legal representation or anything of this nature. Is this true, or have I been misled?
It's not true.
Thank you.
It's simply not true. I mean, that's a myth. That's a historical aberration. That is not true whatsoever. And that's very nice that you seem to have memorized that, but you didn't memorize any accuracy about Islamic history. If you look to the word Sharia and what it means, you see what the Sharia, and you see there's a category. Just a minute, my friend. You mentioned the word Sharia. Do you know what Sharia is? Okay, you see, when you use terminologies, at least minimally, you need to know what it means. Now, Sharia is the name for the wide range of Islamic jurisprudence, of which there is a category in Islamic jurisprudence that sets aside and specifies the rights of the non-Muslims, they're called, non-Muslims who live in the Muslim state are called Ahl al-Dhimmi. No, Dhimmi. Now, Ahl al-Dhimmi, it means specifically those who have the obligation to pay a tax. This is a response, sir. Those who have to pay a tax because they are living under the safety of the Islamic. For instance, I'll make it easy for you, so you don't think that you won't laugh and think this is foolish. Are you Australian? Do you agree that people who live here should pay taxes? Okay, then why should they pay taxes? Because they are enjoying the institutions, the safety, the benefits of this country, isn't it? Okay, similarly, the Islamic law provides that non-Muslims who live under the Islamic government, they should also pay a special tax. Why? Because they don't have to be conscripted. One, they don't have to fight in a war. Secondly, they are offered all the same rights as the Muslims. They are offered all the same rights. Now, I gave you the decency of listening to what you said, although it was inaccurate. I'm giving you a definition that I would ask you to go home, look up the word Sharia, punch it into your computer, and objectively now look at what Sharia is. And I tried to say to you, if some Muslims didn't apply Sharia correctly, they are no worse than Christians who didn't apply Christianity correctly. So, but that's not an indictment against the Sharia, nor is it an indictment against the mission of Jesus Christ. That's what I said originally. And I thought I was quite open and fair about that. I said that Muslims have been guilty of excessive behavior against Christians or Buddhists or Hindus or Jews in some cases. That's not a product of the Quran. That's not a product of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, nor is it the characteristic of Islamic civilization. And I think I made a distinction between Islamic civilization and Muslim. Didn't I say that? So I would say that what you need to do, go home and punch in the word Sharia, and then look at it real well, and then take my card, call me back, and then modify your judgment. But you have to be objective to do so. Just as if I make some statements about Australia, because I heard something, I read something, I thought something or whatever, and then somebody corrected me and said, no, that's not correct, what would it be good for me to do? Once I found out the facts, I should say, well, I was wrong about that, I apologize, and I should modify it. I think you'll do that once you find out. The city of Mecca is called Haram. Why? Because it's a sanctuary. The place that is designated in the home where the women can take off their clothes and relax, that area is called Haram. So it comes from a root word. Now, yes, for sure, there have been excesses in Muslim civilizations like there were excesses in other civilizations, but the basis of it is not Islam. And I repeat it over and over. I came to talk about Islam as a system, as a law, which God revealed as a legislation, not the people who deviated from that. And now, those people that deviated from that, they are the extraordinary. They are not the rule. Now, I would only ask a Christian, a non-Muslim, to be fair, that don't just snatch things out of the air as examples and say, well, didn't this happen? Did Muslim do this? Did Muslim do that? No, not you. Take a comprehensive look at Islam, an objective look at Islam, what the Quran actually said, what the Prophet Muhammad actually did. What is their evidence about Islamic civilization, not the deviations that some Muslims did? Because if I want to be objective and fair about Christianity, I should first look to the sources. What did Jesus Christ say? How did Jesus Christ live? And how did his companions live, and what were their principles? And if I agree, as I do, that they were honorable and decent and dignified principles, then I don't blame the people who call themselves Christians for all the crimes that they performed against Muslims and others, and still performing. I don't blame them. I don't blame Christians for Charles Manson, or Timothy McVeigh, or the IRA, or Jim Jones. I don't blame Christians for that. So why do we continue to harp on deviations that were done at different times and ages over a period of 1,500 years by some Muslims and not give the credit or even read into the Quran itself?
Well, I've read into the Quran, and I'm puzzled by something that says after, when you said that men are the maintainers of women, it says after that, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but it says that it's in Surah Nisa. It says that if the women don't look after this is not, I'm not saying this correctly, but this is sort of roughly what it says, that if the women don't, if they're a deviant, they should be beaten.
That's not, you're jumping all around there. That's not what it says. It doesn't say if they're deviant they should be beaten. That's not what it says there. There is a verse in the Quran that speaks about yadribuhunna. This is the Arabic terminology. It means admonish them. And yadrib here could mean beat. It could mean that, yadribuhunna could mean beat. But let's take the example of the Prophet himself, because it was revealed to him, right? Did you ever read anything where the Prophet said to beat a woman? Did you ever read anything where the Prophet himself said, or he did himself, beat a woman?
No, I haven't.
Okay, enough said.
But I mean, I haven't.
Well, yeah, the point is, any women that are here, there's no women here with black eyes. There's nothing, I mean, it's absurd to think that in Islam, that we are the kind of, that Islam tells us that if a woman makes a mistake or she's deviant, she's that, beat her up. No, yadribuhunna is a word that's in the Quran, and it could be meant to beat. But it means here to admonish them. That's what it means. Now, why men have the right to do this is another issue that maybe we can't reconcile right here. But beating women, beating up women, abusing women, torturing women, throwing women in dungeons, and all those kind of things that are given as depictions about Muslims is incorrect, that is wrong, and it's unfair. That is not the case. And I ask, let's be fair. I ask, how many Muslim women are here? How many Muslim women are in this room? How many? Can you stand up for me, please? Now, what I would ask any woman to do fairly and justly, go and ask any one of these Muslim women, does the Quran oppress them? Does the Quran provide them their rights? Is the Quran unjust towards them? Has the Quran made them second-class citizens? Do they feel undignified? Do they feel abused? Do they feel exploited? Are these depictions accurate? If they are the ones and they are the women, how we make depictions and we don't make reference to them? That would be the fair thing to do.
So, I was raising that because I thought,
no,
because of the way
I understand.
And plus it was open to distortion.
I understand that. And any time that you're trying to understand something that you don't speak the language of, nor are you speaking to somebody who is an authority of, and you're coming at it with preconditioning, obviously there's going to be some kind of distortion involved. I just say to you from the very beginning, try to remove those distortions for a moment, and not you.
I was basing this
What you thought was written.
Well, what was written and what was translated.
Okay, and just like I answered that gentleman.